It's basically February.
All right. What is going on? Appreciate everyone tuning in. Yo, AR and Craggerall, thank you for the resubs. Craggerall coming in with the 33 months and AR coming in with the Prime for 43. Give it up. Give it up. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I typed something in the Twitch chat. Exclamation mark play for the FFG marble race. First up, K Follower, then sub race. I was trying to spell follower, but apparently that didn't work out, so. But welcome. Welcome, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Wolf, how you doing, man? Hope everything's going good. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Shout out to the folks on YouTube watching. Hope everyone's doing well. We're going to be tying some high tie baitfish patterns today. I'm going to be doing some, I think they're called Blitz Bunker Busters or Bunker Buster Blitzers or something. I don't know. I forgot what we named them for saltwaterflies.com, but essentially a take on a polar fiber baitfish, something similar. Normally using the Rainey's craft fur. I'm probably going to save that because I have to use that for the order, but I have some other craft fur that we're going to use, and we're going to tie some high tie bait fishes, essentially. Kind of like a classic style. We're just using the technique, the high tie with craft fur, to essentially tie a generic bait fish fly. But I hope everyone's doing well. We got our new Fiskers. Last time I used them was actually last week. I'm waiting for materials to come in the mail so we can start this order. I also need to place an order for some materials for the Baja. We tied these last week, some little samples, but the little kinky muddler style flies for some people going to Baja. I'm also waiting, though, at the same time because the owner of this one fly rod company goes down and he's asking some of his clients if they want some flies, so... Yeah, we got the follower race first on Twitch. Let me see if let me pull it up so you guys can see. Unfortunately, this is just for Twitch, but in the future, we'll find a way to do something on YouTube. But you can !play, hop on in, and we're doing our follower race first, and then our subscriber race. Somebody's gonna be winning some flies. 2 people are gonna be winning some flies today. A couple flies sent in the mail. All right, I got some different hooks here. Let me see what I got actually. Hold on. So these short Gamakatsu hooks, these SL12S, the 1X short versions are what we're going to be using for this. We're going to do a couple practice ties. So, let me see here. Craft fur. I have a bag of a bunch of random craft fur here. When it comes to the white, I don't have a lot, unfortunately. So we can go ahead and just try some different colors out. I do have some other materials, like some, I do have like this goat fur we could maybe use. Some of this nice Arctic goat fur, perhaps. It's actually a pretty similar material. You know, it'd actually be fun just to tie one with just something like this as well, other than craft fur. Maybe try something different. So let's do that. We'll start off with all craft fur. Now, the only problem with this is it's going to make a mess. If you've ever brushed out crappy dollar store craft fur before. So the best stuff here, I'll show you my personal favorite. I have a good amount of this left over from Saltwater Flies, but this is really the best stuff you're going to find. The Rainey's craft fur. You can get it from saltwaterflies.com or maybe some other places that you shop. The best thing about it is the length. This is like some of the longest craft fur that you're going to find in terms of, if you compare it, which I'll show you here, to a lesser quality craft fur from other brands. Something, I mean, this is an old one, but you could see the difference, right? Something like this. If you've ever gone to the fly shop and got like a cheap craft fur. So I highly recommend trying out the Rainey's craft fur. Let me also swap back so I can see YouTube. I highly recommend it. Hey, Brew, coming in with the 61 months. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate that. Get some round of applause in there. So this is the best stuff. This is my favorite. This is what we use for the high tie bait fish. Maybe we'll do one with some random colors or something. But this isn't technically my material, so. But, that being said, if you want to use the Rainey's craft fur, go to saltwaterflies.com. The only way I'm affiliated with them is that I tie flies for them, but I don't get any money or anything like that. There's no coupon code, so it's just I've been buying materials from them for like probably almost 20 years at this point, from the early advent of the internet. So, also, where is my drink? I might have left my drink downstairs. I might need to grab that real quick. New White Claw. All right, what do we got here? So you can see like some of the quality of some of this lesser quality craft fur. And this is near the end of it, but like a lot of this stuff is almost not usable in saltwater length. Now this is truly like dollar store Michael's craft fur, right? This is the sort of stuff you can pick up from like a Michael's craft store or something. And, you know, tie some decent flies, but this is like pretty low length. And when you end up cutting a big chunk of this off, you're going to throw like 50% of it away. And that's one of the things you find with the other craft fur. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot. I have some gray, so perhaps we can use some gray, maybe a little chartreuse or something like that to start. But you could see like the difference in quality, right, compared to something like the Rainies. So maybe we'll do one with the Rainies at the end. So it's my favorite. I was trying to get my local fly shop to get it in stock, but they can't get it. Wig material, yeah. It's the sort of thing where it's like fake animal fur, for like props or something, vice versa. Now, the one thing is when you are working with craft fur, especially if it's been stored for any length of time, it's always good to brush it out because it does get like micro knots in it or kind of snarled up a little bit to where it's harder to work with it. Now, this is a little trick that Chris showed me at saltwaterflies.com. What you can do is, now my bodkin's kind of dirty. I got to clean it off. If I had a pair of pliers, I would do that real quick. I probably do somewhere. But what you can do is you can take even like a pair of scissors, right? Let me see if I can get it to focus down here. I got to get a fly tying mat. This has turned into my craft mat as well, so I paint all my miniatures and terrain and stuff. So I need to get a nice sleek like black one for fly tying, for streaming and stuff like that. But what you do is you take the the craft fur, and what'll happen sometimes, you see, if you just grab it naturally, you'll end up grabbing it too far forward, and when you go to cut it, you're going to end up getting some like waste. You're going to cut some of the hair. The idea is you cut it as close to the bottom as possible, so you get the least amount of waste and you get the longest hair, right? So what you can do is you can take your scissors and you can just go in there perpendicular, you know what I mean? Coming straight from an angle like that. And then you can essentially separate it. And then what I like to do is kind of pull it apart like this. And then what you could do is you can take the scissors while holding the hair and you can lay them perfectly flat and cut. The thing you're trying not to do is cut the bottom material because it'll come up and then you'll have to trim it again. But you're trying to also get it. You could see here in the past I've been lazy with it and you end up probably missing about, I don't know, half an inch at times or a quarter of an inch. And that adds up pretty quick with the how short a lot of this craft fur is. So, again, if you can get the Rainies, go for it. Now, the other thing is, for flies like this, you really want to make sure that you get all this under fur out. You see there's all this really small hair in there. So I like to keep, depending on the length you're going for, you can move your hands up further, right? We're going for quite long material. And you'll see just how much you end up like wasting, right? Now you can put this in a bag, you can keep this and make dubbing material or something like that, but I'm just gonna grab it and you'll see you end up essentially taking out all of this because when you go to tie this in, this is just gonna cause your thread to build up more. It's gonna be harder to tie this material in, and then a lot of it's just gonna pull out as well. So you can always then check again, you get some more in there. So you're essentially kind of loosely but also somewhat firmly grabbing the hairs up there and then pulling like this to get those shorter hairs out. And then you can go ahead and tie it in. So that's like the basics of cutting craft fur. I know it's pretty simple, but and it doesn't really need explaining. But those are some simple tips and tricks. And the other thing is having like a dog brush. Fine wire dog brush for stuff like this is really important. It's almost worth saying that with certain synthetic flies, not necessarily something like this, but certain, like if you're using the synthetic yak or you're using certain synthetic materials like Steve Farrar fiber, that when you catch something like a bluefish or something with teeth, it'll get all snarled up, even striped bass, and a lot of times it'll get all knotted up. So having something like a brush like this is really good to have. It's kind of annoying, but if you're in the boat or something, you know what I mean? Well, when I say craft fur, that's just a generic name for this artificial animal hair, right? There's fly tying grade craft fur, and then there's craft store craft fur, right? But so like I guess you could say the fly tying is the real material, I guess, but it depends, right? Because they're like building like little raccoon hats and fake raccoon hair hats and stuff with this stuff they sell at the the craft store. I gotta grab a drink. But I'd say, getting a quality brand of craft fur from a fly tying brand, like the Rainies, versus the lesser quality fly tying craft fur is a big difference. You know what I mean? And just to show you here, I'll let me cut some of the rainies off. Let's see, what is that, gray? Let's go with some of this green or something. So like you can see the length here, the difference in the length alone, right? Let me cut some of this off though. And now, I've also on these patches, I always try and be much more diligent. You can see here, I missed a little bit, but I always try and cut as close as possible to the bottom, right? To get the most amount. So I'm going to pretty much go, let me see, I'm going to grab like the same amount, right? I'm going to try to at least. And then we'll cut that and we'll see, you know, how much hair we lose, vice versa. So what was it? Something like this, I want to say. It's probably something like that, right? I don't necessarily remember. Let's just say something like that. We don't got to get too bogged down. Oh man, these new scissors are so nice. Okay. Now we're definitely going to get some trash out of there. But you can see it probably ended up, I probably grabbed too little, but look at the length difference there. It's probably about an inch longer or something like that, right? If I put them side by side exactly. It's a nicer quality. You generally end up with less trash. But especially when we're tying saltwater flies, like trying to get material that's long enough to become relevant for like silver sides or things like that. But we're gonna use some of the cheap stuff for now because this we'll save that. Okay. Let me get a hook in the vise here, and again, these are the Gamakatsu SL12S 1X short hooks, which are very nice. The idea behind using the shorter shank hook with a large gap is that when I put this hook in the vise, instead of sitting it perfectly perpendicular, let me get a... instead of having it sit like perfectly in line, what I'm actually going to do is kind of turn it somewhat, like that's a little extreme, but something like that. Because what's going to happen is the way that we tie it, all the material is going to be tied on top, right? And you're going to have the weight of the bend of the hook acting as a keel and making sure that the fly swims straight. But it also gives you just a very interesting look to it. The fly is almost going to sit like this in the water as opposed to traditionally kind of sitting like this. You know what I mean? And that's just due to how material has a drag in the water with the fly causing it to swim differently and stuff like that. Like if you took a hook, tied a bunch of bucktail only on the bottom, the hook's literally going to like flip over upside down depending on the size of the hook, whether it has enough weight to turn it over. It's actually a fun little experiment you can do to like learn how material, and if you've ever just tied flies and when you first start you put in too much material, the fly like barely swims, barely sinks, vice versa, you know. You can buy a little thing from Fiskars to sharpen your scissors, small and cheap. Oh, all right, very cool. I'll have to look into that. I don't mind getting a new pair, you know, something like after you use it for like 2-3 years and you're like, yeah, okay, I got my money's worth out of that thing. But that might be good to look into to keep them like sharp regularly. All right, I'm gonna grab my drink real quick. Give me 1 second. We're gonna start tying this. Let me. We got our bobbin here, and I have some new. Now this is not my preferred mono thread, but I have some uni mono. Usually I use the fine monofilament thread from Danville, the Danville mono. But we'll string this thing up. We'll start tying. Let me go grab my my drink downstairs real quick. I'll be back in 1 second. All right. Excuse me. I don't stream as much as I used to, so I forget how much my throat's like. Damn, why are you talking so much? All right. Let's get this spooled up. Now, you know what? Actually, let's use this fluorescent thread. I think I should have enough to finish this fly on here. It's not much, but it looks like it'll probably be enough. We'll see. We can always change it. But it'll be good. It'll probably be easier visual-wise to see how I'm manipulating the thread. So, excuse me. So one thing you can do is, the way we essentially tie this fly for saltwaterflies.com is there's a little tuft of some like shrimp pink or some like a more muted pink off the back, just to kind of simulate almost like the innards or the guts of a small baitfish, you know, where they're almost translucent. So let me see, what do we have here? Actually, you know what? I have a little Arctic fox. I'm just going to use this or something like that. Some sort of soft hair. You essentially just want some color off the bottom. I'll actually save some of this for another tie, because we're going pretty short right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right up to where the hook point is. We always start right about where the hook point is, maybe just behind it. And we're going to tie in this short piece of some bright colored craft fur. And then there's essentially the way it goes. And in fact, I think it'd be easier if I just drew this. So I'm just going to do this real quick. So let's see. We have bend of the hook, right? Bear with me. We start right around here, right, is where we have our little tuft. Now the next tie is right in front of it because we're stacking them essentially. This hair is going to be a little bit longer than, or essentially maybe an inch or so longer than that small tuft. Now we're going to keep moving, right, as we go. And these are our ties as we go. Let me see if I can get this to focus a little better. So what you're essentially going to do, in the middle of the fly, the material is going to be the longest. So you slowly start out building up the length till you get to the middle, and then as you go to the front, you're slowly going to taper down, not to extreme lengths. But so for the next tie, it's a little easier to do this laying down, but we'll go like this, a little longer, and the next one a little longer, and the next one maybe the longest, right? And I'm just exaggerating this so you could see. And then the next one will be a little shorter, and then a little shorter, kind of like that. That's one way you could do it. You can keep the length the whole way. You maybe don't want to go too extreme. You kind of want to just have it taper slowly as you go. That's kind of essentially how you do it, right? You start off shorter, you make it longer. Somewhere about the middle is the longest length. That's also where we're going to tie our angel here. So that's a simple explanation, if you will. Because at the end, the last tie on top is going to be a dark color. So that's generally how we do it. In fact, I'll show you later on saltwaterflies.com. But all right, so we're going to start. Hey, Jay, how's it going? And Cozy, how you doing? We're going to start right around the hook point, if not right behind it, and tie our little tuft here of some of this pink hair. And then we're going to start with our first tie. Now, some of this is quite longer, so I'm going to put that off to the side, even though it's nothing to get excited about. Pull some of the shorter stuff out, and then I'll trim this. And then what I'm going to do is go right in front of where I tied this first pink tie here, and just tying all the material on top, holding it firm so it doesn't spin. Somebody was asking about that last week. And try not to tie the material too far forward. You kind of want to have a short nub and then tie it on there, because we're essentially it's like building blocks that we're building on top of each other. And then essentially what you do is we're just going to slowly lengthen it as we go, right? Excuse me. Bob Ross of fly tying. What's going on? Hope you're having a great, good Friday. Hey, thank you, Cozy. Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good. I'm going to my buddy's house to play some Warhammer tomorrow. I showed last Friday. I 3D printed a bunch of orcs, and unfortunately, I lost 2 games. Tabled by like turn 2 almost, or 3. So I'm going back to my Emperor's Children for now. So followers of Slanesh. But everything's good. I've just been hanging out, doing some painting, also cataloging, just going through my material and organizing that as well. Been listening to a lot of Creepcast, which is a YouTube channel, like a podcast of like short, creepy stories they go over and riff about it. So it's entertaining. I've just been chilling. All right. Let's cut off another bunch of craft fur here. But how you doing? I hope everyone's, had a good week since I last saw you and whatnot. The temperature has been warmer, which is nice. Hasn't been 10 degrees. Oh, excuse me. Happy Little Fly. Have you ever gotten into Delta Green? No, Delta Green is a TTRPG, right? It's Call of Cthulhu D100, I think, if I'm not wrong. Or is it D6s? I forget. But no, I've looked into it because I'm a GM. I run games. I've run Wrath and Glory, which is a Warhammer tabletop system. I've run a couple Savage Worlds games. I really like Savage Worlds. I haven't run Delta Green though. I've watched a couple Call of Cthulhu short playthroughs, and I really enjoy it because I like simple games, low stats, in terms of not a lot of bookkeeping and more like encouraging role playing stuff. You know what I mean? But I'll have to check that out. I know there's like some sample stuff you could try. But I was looking into Call of Cthulhu as well. Because I hate having to do too much bookkeeping as the GM. But so I made this one a little longer. I'm going to see if we can... The next one will make a little bit longer than that as well. You can see how. We're essentially maybe... We're essentially going about... 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch each time if we can. We're going to reach the precipice here with this gray craft fur because it's not the best quality, but... Have you tried Delta Green before? Because I refuse to GM Dungeons and Dragons because all my friends know it in and out. And I'm like, we don't need somebody else to do that. We need to play other games if we do. There are more games than Dungeons and Dragons out there. Mind you, we're all like taking a break. I finished my Savage Worlds game, so... But at some point we'll pick up. It's really just a bunch of friends getting together, drinking beer and eating pretzels. And being like, haha, yeah. I tell the dragon he's fat. And you're all like, ah, ha, ha, ha. We're like eating, like chicken tenders and stuff. My buddy's making snacks for us and stuff. All right. So that's probably about as long as I'm going to get here. You can see how we're... but in one odd, this is about the length of the fly that we tie normally. So we've slowly increased the length. Oh, yeah, sorry, let me move this in a little. We've slowly increased the length of the material here. So we started off, quite short, and then we went about 1/4 inch, and now we're gonna tie our flash on here. Tie probably a couple more gray collars, slowly reducing, and then tie something darker on top, like this purple or something. Now would actually be a good time too to throw the pink in there as well. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna throw the pink. Should we throw? Let's do the flash first. Let me see what sort of angel hair I have lying around here. I'm just gonna use yellow. Let me see if. Okay, I got some pearl. We could use some of this. Pearl. Not yet. You've only seen videos. Have you played any played in any campaigns for any other games before? What I do essentially is just take this, fold it over like that, and tie it in pretty simply. And then I just want this to be right about near the end of where the last craft fur tie was in. So it's essentially right at the end like that. So you have that little bit of flash dangling out the back. Then what I do is I take a little bit of gray, tie that in as long as I can. And then we're going to tie that pink on top. Make sure we get all the short hairs out of there. This doesn't have to be a full tie. This could be like a half tie in terms of material because we're going to do the pink on top. And I like to tie the pink and gray. Or I don't move forward for the pink. I'm going to tie the pink in the same tie as this, like half amount of material. Last, lighter color tie here. Now, ideally, that pink would be a little bit longer, which we could grab a fresh piece here. Just lengthen that up slightly. Make sure I trim it flush. Just like that. And now we can start tying some other materials in. This is probably where we're going to tie our green here. I'm actually going to probably do... Let me adjust this green. So to adjust the length, I'll just take it and restack it. Now again, we don't want to go too short. Like, we are kind of shortening it as we go, but we don't want to drastically. It's just like a small amount to help give us a somewhat natural taper, somewhat natural proportions of a fish that's, designed to be in the water and swim naturally. So we're building that shape up, and it's looking pretty good. Let me use, so this is some lesser quality green craft fur. Some of it's actually quite long, but it's just, I don't know, it's like almost a different material. I'm pretty certain this I bought years ago at a fly shop on Long Island. Like, this is a really old craft fur, but it's still good. Definitely feels like almost a completely different material, though, than this other stuff that this gray stuff I've been using. So you could see when you cut it a little too close, just because it was easier for me, you get some of that woven material it's made out of. So it's nice when you put the scissors flush. You can get a nice clean cut. Put a little bit more green on there, and this will be where we tie our purple on top and finish up the fly. Because you don't have to go all the way to the front. We do want a little bit of thread build up. Something like this. And again, if I had white, I'd be using white where that gray is, but I don't. We're going to probably tie one with some goat hair coming up here soon, because that actually just sounds like a fun way of doing it. And now we'll tie some purple, because normally I'd do black or something like that, like a thin layer of some dark black or dark blue if it was a herring color, something like that. But this is what I have. We'll use some purple, and sometimes these funky colors are the ones that I do the best with anyway. So, and this is only going to just be a light amount here, just to add some contrast at the top, Doesn't need to be a lot. It's almost like a little bit of peacock curl on top of a deceiver, to give that natural darkness to the top of the baitfish. Just like so. I always like to, you can adjust the material too, because you want to make sure it's not leaning over one side or the other too much. You want to make sure it's perfectly tied straight up. You don't want to have it going at angles or one or the other, because then it'll cause the fly to essentially turn, because the resistance of the material on there. And a fly like this, we're going to brush it here in a sec before we put the eyes on. We're going to get probably some under fur out of here. Now, I'll give you a close-up, though, of the way the thread is, because this kind of shows you a good, almost like a dissection down the side. You can essentially see where the ties are, right? Like, you can see how it goes boom, 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 and they're all stacked right on top of each other. That's kind of the whole idea, right? And that way, this fly, too, will essentially swim like this in the water, because the weight of the hook's going to bring it down, and all the material is going to cause it to, be caught by the current or the water as it's stripping. So it's naturally, this is one of the reasons why you want to tie something like this with a loop knot as well. You want to fish something like this. But when I glue it, I like to glue it like this, because essentially it's going to ride at a more extreme angle like this. So we do need some eyes. Let's go ahead and find some. Now, I use pretty large eyes here because we want to secure the material. And the best way I could describe it, now, we got to break out the notepad. Where is it? So the way that you're going to do the eyes on this fly, real quick, let's just say, right, you have your fly here, or I guess let me just do a without too many stuff here so you could see it. Let's just say this is the fly here, right? And you have your material coming out. What we're going to do is we're going to put the eye up front or somewhere around the middle like this. But what you're going to do is you're going to lay the eye over the craft fur. And what you're going to do by doing that is you're going to give yourself somewhere to build up the UV resin. And I'll show you here. You're essentially going to make like a little triangle almost. You'll see it when here. Just imagine the hook. You put your eye somewhere like this, and then you make kind of like a triangle like this with the resin, essentially. And that's going to help not only keep the shape of the fly, but it's going to stop it from fouling as well. Because you're essentially, imagine if you could take your fly after you tie it like this, and you could pinch it, essentially. And you're going to build like this UV resin up to where it's going to cause it to stiffen up like this. You're going to keep your shape, but you're also going to stop it from fouling because the material is going to be essentially solid right here. So when you go to cast it, even if it fouls like this, if you take the fly and you whip it real quick, it just unfouls itself. So that's one of the reasons why we have to push that resin back past the eye in this like triangle shape. You'll see it here. Because otherwise it will foul on you quite regularly. So I want something large enough. We want to go larger. I think something like this, honestly. Maybe even larger. But I don't know how much larger we can go. Let me see here. We got some chartreuse. What about these suckers? Are these too big? Not really. That's kind of what we want. Let me see if I have any silver ones of these. Don't know if I do though, because that's kind of slightly odd size. You don't want them to be too large. But this is one of the times where you kind of use eyes that are larger than usual when it comes to like tying a basic fly, because a lot of times the eyes would hang over. It's a little large. We'll probably end up using these like that. You could use something like this. It's a little extreme, but I mean, in reality, I guess if you're looking at a certain bait fish, but it's a little big. So, what kind of eyes are these? It's weird. It's like white on the back of the adhesive of this eye. It's not like silver. I don't like these waspy eyes. You've heard me say it 1,000 times. I'm going to keep saying it. I really don't. So you want to be off. I kind of like having it almost just above the thread. See, the thing is, this eye is not going to stick to this, so I'm not going to use this. These are just... It's going to lift off. It's going to start moving around. It's going to drive me crazy. So we're going to use the eyes I get from saltwaterflies.com. They're just better. What size are these? 5/16? Okay. I don't know what it is with those waspy eyes, but that's what I have at my local fly shop, and I really don't like using them. It's fine if you're tying a couple flies, but like trying to tie like 50 surf candies, the eyes on there like do not hold. See, like this has some nice adhesion to it. So we're actually going to go forward. We don't want to be too far back. But the idea is that you want this to be essentially on the material itself. Let me zoom in here. You essentially want this to be up on the material. Now you can play around with it, get it where you like it, right? But we're trying to get a bait fish profile. Let's move it around a little. Let's see where we like it. You can see this one sticks a lot better, huh? So you could have it kind of farther back like that, because again, the fly is going to be swimming like this in the water. But I think what I usually do, let me see here. I think I move it far forward a little. Yeah, we'll go for something like that. And then we're going to build essentially a triangle almost like that. There we go. Hola, Jim. How you doing? Thank you for sharing the world record bluefish caught off Hatteras back in like the 70s or something. Still hasn't been broken. It was like 36 pounds. That was a cool photo. Again, might need to move that farther forward a little. Yeah, I think the biggest I ever caught was like 18 or 20 pounds, that one we caught on stream that one day. I couldn't imagine 30 something. Jeez. That's a monster bluefish right there. And I know their range is pretty far. I think they almost go all the way to like South Africa and stuff, or like the Mediterranean, if I'm not wrong. I need to move this back just a skosh here. You don't have to be this picky. I'm just being this picky about it because that's what I do. And I'm just trying to get the hang of this again because I'm going to have to tie a lot of these soon. You can always take a look and see if it's even like this. It's looking pretty good. Pulled you all over. Yeah, I was already getting towed around. That would be wild. I mean, a lot of people, you know, have caught like 40, 50 pound bass off a kayak and they get towed like around, you know, like hundreds and hundreds of feet, especially when the tide's ripping. There's one old guy in our old fly fishing club. He almost got sucked out of this one inlet one day. He was like fighting this big striped bass on the fly for like an hour or something, he said. Especially not like a probably super duper good kayak. Alright, I also have some brand new bottles of resin. I bought these and I was waiting to open them. So now one thing I forgot is I probably should have left this like this. I'm going to wait a second actually. Now's a good chance. So let's look at the marble race here. If you haven't, on Twitch, !play, we got our follower giveaway first, which is going to be coming up here shortly, probably in about after we glue the eyes on here, we're going to do our marble race. First follower marble to land in the winner's pit is going to win a couple flies in the mail, and then we got our sub one after. But what I like to do is when I get a new bottle, if it's been sitting on the side like that, I like to let it sit like this so all the resin drips from the bottle down, so I don't wait, Hey, it's a couple flies probably worth right there. We'll let that drip down for a sec. But how's everybody doing? I hope everyone's doing well. Let me take a look at the Discord. Is there anything we need to look at? Oh, I think there was some new stuff we could probably take a look at. When did I last stream? What date was that? The Friday? 24th? Oh, yeah. Let's take a look. All right, we got Minsk and Boo, Micropoons down in Florida. Bow and arrow casting with the fly rod. Heyo. Oh my God, look at that area with the mangroves. That's like the classic where you pull the line back, and you like slingshot cast the fly out. That's awesome. This is what Jim posted. This is the world record bluefish right here. 1972, James Husey. Damn, look at that old Chevy. Is that a Bel Air in the back? Oh, no. Is that a, that's a Chevy, right? What is that? I don't know. Oh, no, that might be a dune buggy, dude. It's got rod holders. What is that? Yeah, that might be like a dune buggy. That kind of looks like a dune buggy. He's got rod holders on the front. Or maybe, though, I don't know. Maybe it is a Chevy. I don't know. Hatteras is what, North Carolina? If I'm not wrong. I think the beaches are a little bit harder down there compared to up here. Up here, you really got to have like four-wheel drive or air down. But look at that. Look at the size of the head. It's big. It's not like... The funny thing is, though, like, for 36 pounds, I guess it is, like, substantially larger. Because, like, you look at the size of the hook, look at the size of the head compared to him. But it's not, like, overtly, freakishly big, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, yeah, that's 36 inches right there, probably. You still need four-wheel drive and Hatteras? Okay. So I wonder if that's a dune buggy. That might be like a dune buggy, then. Might be like a custom dune buggy or something. And then we got Bujika here on the spinning rod tying up some jigs recently. Very nice. 4.5 pound, very baby cutthroat. Yeah, I know. They get pretty big over there. So very cool. Shout out. Bujika always crushing it. But how's it going, Nadi? Or hopefully I'm saying your name right. And then what did we miss? I think we caught up. All right, let's crack this new bottle open. Yeah, it looks like a dune buggy or something. I mean, unless you just put rod holders on the front of his old Chevy or something, but you still see people like there's like with dune buggies and stuff out here. But I mean, most people just use four-wheel drive trucks for surf fishing. All right, so this is the medium resin, so it's not too viscous, but it's not too thin. So what you got to do here is, one thing you learned with craft fur is that the second resin gets on it, or gets near it, the slightest waft of wind, it'll catch it, and then if you have a longer piece of craft fur, for instance, something like this, right, and it somehow gets covered in resin, right? Somehow this little piece of craft fur will get a ginormous glob of resin on it, and it'll lay back down and then ruin the fly. I mean, a lot of times you can just pull it off and it's fine, but it's so annoying. So what you got to do is you got to essentially kind of hold the material, and you don't want to pull it too tight, right? Like, I don't want to pull it like this. I want it to naturally kind of have that appearance, but you kind of want to keep it still. You want to make sure that you secure it so that it doesn't you can always push forward, you can pull back, get the size however you like. The main thing is you want to hold it tight so that way that this material doesn't come off and like start wrapping around and like, because it's just very light and subtle material that moves so easily that it will start turning into a mess. So you kind of want to get the position that you want and then essentially hold it. Now I'm not pulling it too tight. I'm kind of loosely holding it, but I'm trying to make sure I could still see some craft right now. I'm going to go in like a little triangle right here. You see that? Now a little trick, don't go too far forward on top because that's where the shorter hairs are. And then over here, again, I'm kind of going in like a triangle type shape, or like an arrowhead maybe is a good way of describing it, with the front of the fly being the pointy end. All right, now this bodkin's it needs to get cleaned up, but that's fine. You can adjust the tension how you want. You want to make sure the eyes are fully covered and that the resin goes back a little ways. So that we build that nice support for that material so it doesn't foul on us. And we can hit it with the light, kind of get it so it's even, because if you pull it to the left or right, it'll stay that way. So we want to make sure it's even top and bottom with the hook shank. Hit it with some light real quick to secure it. Can do some slight adjustments in this stage if you need to. This is just the first coat. I might have pulled that a little too tight. I almost kind of wish I left that a little bit more loosey-goosey, because we lost a little bit of height on that. You could see it, but that's fine. We're going to put a second coat of resin, fill that. So you do got to be careful with the tension, but if you don't hold it, like if you try and do that without holding that material or keeping it still like this, stopping it, you will end up having that craft fur kind of move all over the place. Now, another thing you can do is you can use flex resin. Flex resin works really good for a fly like this, but using regular resin works as well. So we're going to do a second coat of the medium here to fill in any gaps and stuff, and then we'll do a light coat of thin. So again, not building up too much, but I'm just building layers to make sure it's strong. Resin works well when you do light layers and build it up, as opposed to one giant one, because you want to make sure that resin fully cures. I'm like, my life is just surrounded by UV resin. I'm either 3D printing miniatures all the time or I'm fly tying. I can't get away from UV cured resins. They're everywhere. It's like one of the most commonly used chemicals or materials in my life. UV cured resins. All right. I'm going to let this actually kind of even itself out a little bit. Yeah, I kind of went a little too tight on that. I kind of wish I left it a little bit more loosey-goosey just so it'd have a little larger, taller profile, but that's okay. It's just perfectionist, but... Oh, I think that resin ran for me a little there. Do we have a little bubble? It's very slight, but you see that raise there? It's a good example. It's not even that much. I'm not even going to worry about it, but maybe if you watch closely there, because I wasn't paying attention, I was looking at the back, but you could probably actually physically see the resin pushing away from the light there if you go back and look. That's what happens when you have not necessarily too much. That might have been, that was okay. It didn't go crazy, but if you have a certain amount of resin to where it's able to flow on itself as it cures, it'll slowly push away from the light and bulge up away from the light as it starts curing. But it's like curing as the resin's pushing, so it's being pushed away from the light. It's pretty interesting. So you definitely want to make sure that you never put too much resin on at once. If you do that and you hit it with the light, it'll essentially start moving away from you. Create these like bubbles and stuff. Let me get a second bottle here. We're going to get our thin resin. Probably should have let this one sit for a sec. Luckily, thin resin floats pretty quick, so we don't got to worry about it. By the way, let's see. 2-ounce bottle of resin. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah. I mean, needless to say, I had to raise the price of flies this year. It's unbelievable. It's crazy how expensive this stuff. Now, I know a lot of people in our community, they use like cheap stuff off eBay. It's like Chinese resin, UV cured resin or something that's used for other stuff. They say it works great, so might need to try it, but I am tying commercially, so I like to use the high quality. I mean, I know for a fact Solar Res I've had the best experience with it, Solar Ease, in terms of durability and curing, not yellowing and stuff, but I am tempted. I would like to, I think we've talked about it, it'd be a great YouTube video, is testing like all the different resins, the high quality resin fly tying ones, and then trying the cheap ones off Amazon and eBay and stuff. Some people might not be happy if we find out the results are not that different. I might get some weird looks at the fly shows if I work them, but I'm curious. I think there is a difference. I think there is. The question is whether there's that much of a difference for the average Joe who fly ties, doesn't do it for a living like mass tying, and you want that certain level of consistency. If you're just going to tie albie flies for yourself, maybe there isn't that much of a difference from getting Solar Res compared to some cheap Chinese-made stuff. Because, unfortunately, they don't necessarily follow copyright laws over there, so a lot of times you can get stuff. A lot of times, though, a lot of the stuff you get is just really inferior copies, you know what I mean? Like, you'll find a lot of knockoff fly tying material that is clearly not, anywhere near on the same level, just quality-wise. There's definitely some that you can find that it's great. It's probably made in the same factory half the time for all we know, but there are clear differences in a lot of this stuff, so. But resin might not be one of them. I don't know. I'm curious on what the results would be for something like that. Because I go through quite a lot of these bottles. I used to buy it direct from Solar Ease, but mind you, I'm getting a discount as well because my local shop, but definitely gets expensive. Hit that real quick. No resin moving on us because you don't want to put too much on there. Wow, that fluorescent green thread really sticks out under this light, huh? Like, look at that chartreuse. It just reacts to UV light in a certain way. It's not even a UV material, quote unquote, or whatever. That's it. That's pretty simple. The fly's essentially going to swim like this in the water, as opposed to being like this. This is if the hook was riding perfectly perpendicular with your line. So when you use the loop knot, the weight of the hook and the weight of the material all tied on top is going to cause it to ride like this. This actually came out really well for like a herring. This will be a good springtime fly. Because if I was going peanut bunker, which is the way I traditionally tie this, I would have made sure I'd probably do one more tie forward, right? Or space it out a little bit. So I'm a little bit more far forward so I don't have that little dip there in the resin. And the other thing is make sure not to, I got to remember, don't pull too tight. We just want to stop the material from fouling and catching that resin as it's working on the bodkin. But other than that, this is like a herring profile. Because when we, when I go out and fish, a lot of times you'll see peanut bunker and spearing, but you'll find the juvenile herring in the springtime. And they're essentially just like this size. They're usually green, bluish color, but they're kind of like this taper, right? They're in between a silver side. Silver sides are thinner than this. And they're in between the peanuts, which have a taller profile. This is kind of like a perfect herring profile. Now, I do have the colors to essentially to tie one. But the other thing is we could do bucktail as well. I don't think I've done a bucktail high tie. I'm trying to think when the last time I actually did one is. So maybe we do one of those here. But that's essentially it. It's pretty simple. You just tie the material on top of each other. I try to taper it in a certain way so that it has a somewhat natural appearance, right? But this one came out pretty good. This is actually pretty reminiscent of a herring, the local herring we have in my area. So we'll give it a shot. I fished these. I've caught a good amount of bass in the back bays because I always test flies before I tie them. You know, as we're like, you know, when we were coming up with how we're going to tie these, what lengths, what size hooks. I always do a little bit of testing before we do the full go ahead because I want to make sure that they not only swim properly but they don't foul, vice versa. They're durable, and I had a good amount of luck with these in the back bay, especially when we've had so many peanut bunker recently. I'm just curing my bodkin here. I always do that. It's one of the worst things. You're working with your bodkin, and you like forget that there's uncured resin on there, and then you drop it at some point, lands on your lap. I have so many like cured resin bits all over my jeans and pants from the years from commercial tying so much. Oh God! All right, now I think is a good time to check out the marble race. So while I pull up my Epidemic Sound marble soundtrack, if you haven't, if you're on Twitch, !play, hop in there. The first follower is marble to land in the winner's pit is going to win some flies. And then we're going to immediately start up another marble race. I always start them up and then I leave them open for a while so people can hop in there. Let's see, marbles here. There we go. We got Supra. Hey, Supra. Leans, how you doing? Hope you guys are doing good. Unfortunately, this only works on Twitch, and unfortunately, due to Twitch terms of service, we can't do giveaways where it's both YouTube and Twitch, but what do you call it? I appreciate all you YouTube folks lurking right now. We're probably going to do some giveaways via videos. I'm thinking maybe when I get to 2,500 followers, which we're not that far off. I think we're almost like at 2,380 or something. Peace Pipe, if you want to hop in, you got to head over to LI Flies, twitch.tv/LI Flies Mike, unfortunately. It only works with Twitch, unfortunately. I should have a little pop-up or something like that up on the screen. So if you want to head over there, you just got to be following the channel. I'll give you a second, but we'll probably do something where it'll be like a comment on videos with fly tying tutorials in the future. I got to figure out, do like a comment picking situation stuff. The only thing that sucks, like it's you essentially there's no way to message people on YouTube, so it's you got to have them message you and like this and that and proof. But we'll figure that out in the future. But yeah, if you want, I'll give everybody I'll give you a second on YouTube. It's twitch.tv/LI Flies Mike. You just gotta be following the channel. Type !play. Your marble will hop in there. And the first followers to land in the pit is gonna be winning some flies. All right, let me get my marble music up. Hey, Ducky. So also from December, I got to ship these out. We got Gin and we have Wolf, and I got to ship Banana and Doc's stuff, which are international. I still haven't gone to the post office. And luckily now I figured I could just put envelopes in the mailbox with because I use for domestic fly stuff for you guys. I just throw them in a regular envelope. A couple flies gets through. You just can't have too bulky, vice versa. But the international stuff, I got to go to the post office. But we got Wolf's Helm and Gin from December. So I got my little notepad here. We are tying flies, Ducky. We will be tying flies in a sec. The only reason we're doing this is because the last Friday of every month we do a marble race, which we're about to do it. But hey, Red Toro Boro, long time no see. How you doing? OG. I haven't seen you around for a while. I hope you're doing well. How was your fishing season? Let me see. Yeah, we got you, Red Toro. You good? Get the marble music. All right, chat. We're going to start this thing up. Don't worry, we have one after this. It's for subscribers. But we like to make sure we do one for followers as well, so we do the follower race first. Last Friday of the month, every month. We're going to start this thing up. Good luck. First marble to land in the pit's going to be winning some flies. I'm just there to maybe knock one of you off. Is really what's up. But what's going on, Ducky? Well, I'll answer your question here in just a second. But how to adjust the rotary feature? Yeah, sure. I don't know what vise you have in particular, but I'll show you on my vise here in a sec. All right, we're approaching the tubes. It looks like Super and AR are neck and neck. Now, AR is notorious. He's like a world-class marble racer. You could tell by that fancy thing he has floating around his head. Like one of the top 5 marble racers in the world. I don't know if that's true. I just know he was like in a million marble races. It looks like there might have been some foul play though, because Super was neck and neck. Maybe there might have been like a elbow or something like that. I think AR's playing dirty. Okay, but so we're gonna see how he does in the Chuck E. Cheese section. Remember in that, you know, where you'd like, or at the carnivals where you run through and don't worry, Bujika, we got one after this. They got those like punching bags that you got to run through that are hanging all over the place. Now, in that time, though, AR has given Supra and Toro Boro and Leans a little bit of time to catch up. Now, if he can keep the lead, he's going to be winning some flies here, but we all know how it goes. We have the spatulas of death. As well as me. You never know. Supra, Toro Boro making their way in. AR, though, has found the hole. Not the first time that sentence has been said. I'm sure somewhere. Go easy on the unemployed guy. I was showing your fish off earlier. What do you mean? Yeah, we got our subscriber race coming up next, Bujik. You can hop on in there. Oh, AR! Oh, he was shot off the track! Oh, I thought he was going to rocket himself into victory. But he was riding too close to the sun. It all comes down to Toro Boro and Super. Can they pass the spatula of death? Oh, Toro Boro, see you later. Supra, it all comes down to this. Made it through the meat grinder. He just needs to navigate and flawlessly making his way through. Craggerol Lean's getting smacked up. Oh! Craggerol close behind. I don't think anybody knew that was going to happen. Absolutely got destroyed by the spatulas of death or the, you know, whatever the hell that thing was over there. But that's marble racing for you folks. Give it up. Round of applause for Supra Turbo. That's right. Honorable mention for Leans and Craggerol. Yep. I hate to see it, Red Toro. You were doing good. AR, but he rode too close to the sun. You took the same line. That's the thing. You had to, you know, you couldn't see the bend. But congratulations. I wanted to yell, get effed, but I'm trying to remember we're trying to keep it clean. Okay? Family friendly. All right, congratulations. Let me write that down. Supra. I'm pretty sure if your address is the same, but if not, resend it to me on Discord. All right, and the next race is open, but Jerry, this isn't a club or something. Can we chill out with this? We are going to be doing that at the end of the stream. So congratulations, Supra, for winning some flies. Same address. Okay. Very good. Very good. And hop on in there. Now, this is for subscribers, people who are got the Twitch Primes, the tier 1, 2, or 3s. But if you're not subbed to the channel, feel free to hop on in there. Maybe you can knock AR Fly Fisher's marble off the track, right? All right. And when I get back here in a sec, we're just going to take a quick little break. We've been streaming for about an hour or so. So I like to get up and stretch a little bit like Summit. So we're going to go hit the hookah lounge up And it's good just to also get up for the back for just a couple minutes. So we're going to put on our Albie highlight. When I get back, we're going to tie another high tie or two, probably with some goat hair and maybe some more natural materials this time, but more similar to craft fur. And then maybe a bucktail one, we'll see. But I definitely want to try out this goat hair. So, yep. Again, you know, that's how it goes. AR launched, yeah. Yeah, he went flying. I thought he was going to launch himself to victory. There's been a couple times, not to get too tied in on the marble racing, right? But there's been a couple times on stream where people have launched up in the air, like at the start of the race. They got hit by a paddle, whatever. I don't know what happened. And they've like landed in the pit. You know what I mean? So there's been some impressive marble shenanigans we've seen. I thought he was going to pull like a pro move and like skip half the track, but he just went flying off. So, it was all Little Fish of Pyramid last Tuesday? Okay. Yeah, we showed I showed the photo you posted on Discord not long ago, so. All right, we're going to take a quick little break, and I'll be back here in just a moment. Oh, yeah, real quick, I wanted to, Ducky, here you go. So, you're asking about how to adjust the rotary feature on the vise? By adjust the rotary feature on the vise, you're talking about this, right? So, on my vise, I have a knob here on my Regal Revolution, right? That adjusts it. Usually you'll have a knob, somewhere to adjust the tension. Now, if you don't have a vise that has a rotary feature, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to like physically, take the fly and like turn it, or you're going to have to just hold it where it is or something. So, because certain vices don't have that feature. But if you have a rotary vise, usually there's a knob somewhere to adjust it. And that's to adjust the tension. You should just be able to spin it freely. This just adjusts the tension. Now it's hard to spin. I can loosen it. Now I can do this. Right? Unless you're talking about the height, in mine, you just literally, it's just tension here. You can just move it up and down like that. Other vices are different. You finally got off the roads? Damn, you've been driving a lot, eh? You were playing for Solar Res? Okay, gotcha. Playing for Solar Res. Big guns, huh? Thursday, a guy got a 27-pound cutthroat from a boat. Damn. That's a big one. That's a big one. It's on top on the Norvice? Yeah, on Norvice, it's on top, right? So hopefully that helped, Ducky. I don't know if you're still here or not, but we'll find out when I get back. So we're going to take a quick little break, and we're going to keep tying flies here in just a moment, all right? So appreciate everybody hanging out. We're going to put on our Albie highlight. Enjoy it. I'm going to go cry in the hookah lounge while I watch it because I didn't catch any Albies this year. You drove down from Albany-ish to Syracuse. Oh, yeah. It was rough? Oh, man, I bet. All right. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Stay tight, all right? Yeah, keep it tight. Yeah, dude. Yeah, how you doing? Knuckle buster. Are you good? You need me to do anything?
Yeah, I might need a ride. Yes.
Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna turn now.
I'm gonna try and get on the valve.
Yeah, get on the valve. All right, you're doing good. Keep doing your thing. I'm gonna move us away.
Is that a little one?
No, that's a nice one.
Oh, let's go!
Come here, hold next to your alley. Good job.
That's sick.
All right. Nice.
Go! Albie slap!
Good job, dude.
Yee!
Looking down the barrel of a 12 gauge little toonie, bro. On the alligator too. Oh my god, dude! What the fuck? Woohoo! Oh my god. Yep. Oh my god! All right, we're back. How is the superstorm hitting the East Coast? I don't know. Is there a superstorm? Doesn't feel like it. It's warmer. It's not 10 degrees, so I'll take it. I don't know. We got some rain. That's about it. We had some brutal, brutal cold winds. Some north winds or something. But it doesn't seem too crazy. I mean, it was a little windy yesterday. It's raining today. But I don't think we're feeling that bad of effects from what I can see. All right. Let's try another one. Yeah, it hasn't. Maybe further. Oh, maybe further south. Might be further south, probably, or something. The only time we really get crazy, crazy weather is during the fall. We get hurricanes on the East Coast up here on the north. I'm gonna try and use some goat hair. How many times do you get to hear that every day, you know? When in Rome, use goat hair. Snow expected Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Yeah, we had some snow not long ago. Luckily, it cleared up. It stayed on the ground for a while, but I am going to use some mono thread for this one, though. So we're going to take this out. Actually, you know what? I wonder, do you think we can get another fly out of this? Let's use it. I don't mind having this chartreuse thread. It reminds me back in the day of saltwater fly fishing or fly fishing in saltwater. I think there were 2 magazines. I don't remember. If anyone in chat remembers, there was. I have a bunch of them somewhere, but there used to be magazine back in the day, like 2000s. I think it was saltwater fly fishing or fly fishing in saltwater. I forgot what it was called. All I know is I had it and I was getting it every month, and then one month it just started sending regular fishing magazines and the magazine went out of business or something. I forgot, but I had that magazine for years. It was like the best saltwater fishing fly fishing magazine. You used to be able to buy it in 7-Eleven. I remember that. I remember going buying it at 7-Eleven, and it would be like on the row below the the penthouse mags and all that or whatever. Back in the day when you used to go buy magazines at gas stations and stuff. But if anyone remembers the name of it, I don't remember if it was fly fishing in saltwater or saltwater fly fishing. It was one of those names. I wonder if we could actually taper this. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but like I wonder if I could take it, fold it in half, and cut it. What'd I miss? You almost won the marble race, and at the last moment, you were shot into the atmosphere by some sort of moving device of torture. So you almost got it, but ! Play for the subscriber race. Good luck. I was like, oh, he's top 500 in the world, best marble racer around, got almost, not pegged, it was more like spatulaed, I think is what I called it. But something like that. Hitting Pyramid again. It's $26 to pay. So is this a national park? This isn't private, right? Pyramid Lake? Or are you going to a private piece of property on Pyramid Lake and paying to get access to fish there, like the that spot on the Douglas spot on the Salmon River? Is it that sort of deal? Or is this like a state park you're paying for access every day? That's a lot of money. There's no annual pass or something? Like, well, it's Pyramid Lake. Guy's like sitting there with like stacks of gold behind him. You're gonna have to pay. Oh, Indian reservation? Yep. Somebody's racking in bank, yep. It's like that it's like the best fishing spot on the Salmon River is a private piece of property. You can like get lodging there and all that. Oh, you want to catch the big ones. Yeah. Yeah, they have the Douglas, what's it called? The Douglas Salmon River Club or something? What if somebody knows what it's called up here in New York? It's pretty popular. It's like one of the best spots on the river, and people like lodge there and stuff. But they were like, "Oh, you can't. You gotta stay there, and there's like rules. You can't like smoke on the property or something." And I was like, "They ain't gonna let me smoke cigarettes, and I ain't going because I'm, it's probably gonna be smoking something else." I could picture some guy like, "Hey, excuse me, you can't. What are you doing?" We paid like $1,000 for like a lodge. We were staying at the Tailwater up there. I like that spot. You go get some, what do you call it? You go salmon, or you go steelhead fishing. You come back, you get some poutine and some dark beer. You drink that and some soup. You go back out, and then you come back and you have a nice steak, drink some more beer, play some pool, and then do it over again. It's a good time. I like the Salmon River. I'm going to try it. I'm going to fold this over. Can we like double it up? Because goat hair, when you cut it, it almost tapers in a natural way. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it. Douglason's $35 a day. Yep. I was like, we're not doing that, guy. my buddies were like, "Hey, maybe we should go check that out." I said, "Nope, we're not doing it. I'm the fly tyer, professional fly tyer in the group. I'm broke. Like we got freshwater fishing licenses. We'll just go fish here on state land." Like, you want to pay for me? Let's go. Otherwise, you're talking to the wrong guy. It's apparently pretty good, though. I was at a steelhead seminar at the fly show, and the guy recommended the schoolhouse pool. Yeah, so the schoolhouse pool, isn't that further up past the, which one is that? Is that the one? So when I went to the Salmon River, there was two areas. There's the upper and lower fly fishing section, right? There's the bridge. Below the bridge, you're allowed to spin fish, do whatever. It's the wild, wild west, right? Above the bridge, right by where Matilda's was, or whatever the hell, I think that place closed down. It's fly fishing only, and then you go around this bend, and there's a chain link fence. That's the lower fly fishing section. From that fence, there's like a chain that goes across the river. And I guess during the time we were there, the upper fly fishing section, if you go all the way up, there's a hatchery. So is that upper section where the schoolhouse pool is, or is it where the lower fly fishing section, or is it all the way further down? Out of Altmar into Pulaski? Because I remember the name Schoolhouse Pool. It sounds very familiar. And we went around, we fished some different spots. But it seemed like the most productive area was right below that chain link fence. There's like a rock wall and stuff. That's every fish I caught was right there. I know Jeff caught a couple fish further down in between. Like, you could go from the bridge up north. He didn't mark the map. I was hoping you know. Yeah, I've heard the name Schoolhouse Pool. I think if you go up there and ask somebody, they'll tell you. Let's take a look. Let's just Google it. Because I'm curious now, you know? This isn't gonna dox me, right? I gotta be careful. I'm looking real quick. Hold on. No, this is just pulling up the actual school. Let me go back. Fat Nancy's. Schoolhouse Inn, Schoolhouse. What about Schoolhouse Pool? On the water. Wasn't that John Candy's polka band, the Pulaski? Probably. I don't know. It's probably, there's probably like a, you know. We have here, my buddy, I had some friends in high school that were Polish. There's a big Polish population here on Long Island. I wouldn't be surprised if there was something like that, you know. It sounds super Polish. I said the Schoolhouse Pool. Haha. So, up in Altmar, River Hatchery, right? Where's the bridge in Altmar? Trestle Pool, Upper Fly. So, like, I never went over here, right? I never went anywhere around here. I don't see Schoolhouse Pool, though. I remember the name, though. It sounds super familiar. So I fished somewhere over here, lower fly. I fished over here, the lower fly parking, and there's a bend. And then there's the upper fly. So the hatchery's somewhere over here. There's like a chain link fence. I fished somewhere right around here at the lower fly. And it bends up and then it blocks you off. Right around there is really good. You can walk down a rock wall where there's a rope because you will die when it's icy. It was like super screwed up. But I'm trying to see. I saw they mentioned the Schoolhouse Pool. Yeah, so the schoolhouse pool might be out of the fly fishing section because they mentioned the fly fishing. This is where the Douglason area is, down here. So it might be out here somewhere. I don't know, you're going to have to do some research. I don't know where it is. I fished up here, up in Altmar, if you can see it, right here. At the lower fly area. By the way, in Home Alone, was John Candy in Home Alone? What? I don't remember. All I know is I watched, oh man, it's the movie with Chevy Chase and Demi Moore where they get caught in this small town and John Candy's the cop and is it Dan Aykroyd? I'm thinking, yeah, Dan Aykroyd, he's like the crazy judge and all this stuff, and John Candy like dresses up as the sister as well and stuff. I forgot what the name, but it's free on YouTube right now. I highly recommend it. I forgot what the name of it is. Oh, I just watched it recently. It's a hilarious movie though. It's like the classics. You got John Candy, Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd. You know what I mean? It's perfect. It's a cheesy movie, but I used to love it as a kid. You even see Tupac's in it because Digital Underground. Yeah, Humpty was in it. I think it's Digital Underground. Is that their name, right? I came here to party. And Tupac's like, damn. The young Tupac back when he was with Digital Underground. He's like, hey, I like you guys. And Dan Aykroyd's like jamming out on a keyboard as this like crazy 100-year-old judge sentencing people to death. So good. He's like, all right, you're good to go. You're like, oh, he's definitely going to murder them. It's one of those 90s movies, you know, like those silly 90s movies that just... if you grew up at the time, you're like, oh, dude, this is a classic. I used to watch it on Stars or Encore all the time. We never had enough money for HBO, but we had like Stars or Encore, you know, those cheaper movie channels. So there was always certain movies that would play over and over again. So I'm using the goat hair here. Pretty much the same effect as the craft fur, right? Move these out of the way. Just kind of lengthening it as I go. Yeah, I'll look it up right now because I just watched it the other day. I'll tell you guys. Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, and John Candy. Demi Moore. Nothing But Trouble. It's such... Okay, I'm not... There's nothing that'll get me banned. There's some guys in makeup that are like, they look like giant babies in diapers, but there's no like dicks hanging out. I wanted to make sure. I don't think anybody hangs on, but I got to show you this photo of John Candy and Chevy Chase. Because John Candy's dressed up as like his sister. But this is a really good movie. Yeah, Nothing But Trouble. It's free on YouTube right now for all the YouTubers. Wait till the stream's over, so I still get, you know, a little analytics. But it's really good. It's a good movie. It's cheesy, but if you grew up at, you know, I grew up in the 90s. I was a 90s kid, so it was like, it's like right up my alley. It's such a good movie, though. It's like that perfect Chevy Chase sort of humor, you know what I mean? Like Fletcher-esque sort of stuff. All right. Let's finish this fly, though. The twins, yep. Bobo and something, I don't know. I just watched it like a week or two ago. Watched Child's Play recently. Chucky. YouTube's got some bangers. They have the free movie section where it's like they put movies up you can watch and it rotates. They usually have some good stuff. You got to keep your eye out, but you can't beat free nowadays. Watched Total Recall not long ago. That is just a childhood classic. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, Total Recall. Some of it's cheesy, but some of it is like, wow, that was for the time that the CGI and stuff, like the special effects, look so good in that movie for what it was back then. I used to love Arnold too, you know. I still do. Like Commando is such a good movie. Predator. Yeah, you can't beat Free. You can't beat Free. That's for certain. I mean, it's not crazy, but it's something, right? Could be a hell of a lot worse. Alright, let's put some flash on here. Go ahead and get our angel hair and have that sticking right out the back. And again, I'll have something just a little bit longer now, around the same length. I usually go with some white here, and then I'll add some color. But we'll keep the length a little bit in line. You only just slightly make it shorter. You've been looking for something else, Bujika? What were you doing? Weren't you like welding or something? Weren't you doing fabrication or something, I want to say? Am I wrong? Maybe I'm totally wrong there. Hopefully you find something. Yeah, we haven't been doing any clamming recently because of the weather and everything. So saved up, but would be nice to make a little money here. Sheet metal. I knew it was something to do with metal work or something. Okay, let's see what sort of colors we can play with this natural material. You know, the only other material, like, colors I have in this, I think I might have blue. Yeah, I actually do have some blue. This might be nice. I almost want to say this is like a Icelandic sheep, though. This is quite long compared to this goat hair. Because I would say this goat hair is very similar in quality. This is like Icelandic goat. Or like Icelandic sheep hair, stuff like that. I'd say this is very similar to a craft fur. So I want to use some of this purple, but I'm thinking maybe some of this blue as well. Like pink, the blue, and a little purple on top. Very similar sort of consistency anyway. I think this will come out nice. Okay. Gotcha. Well, go fishing in the meanwhile. Maybe go to some spots that you don't got to pay for as much, but hopefully they'll set you up. I don't know why, but on my browser it shows like it was just showing now the John Candy photo. Hopefully it's not that delayed because I have it on YouTube that it's the way the stream works that it should be pretty quick. But if you need to just refresh if you're watching on YouTube, hopefully you should be good. Hopefully you're caught up. We should be at the point now, if you hear me now, where we're putting some of this pink on here, on this white goat hair. The only problem is I gotta find something. Here we go. This is long enough. I just want a little bit of this pink on here. We're gonna start adding some color. Non-resident. Oh, is Pyramid Lake in California? Or do you just go fishing in California? Yeah, non-resident permits are like crazy. I'm lucky that I only need to go fishing in my state because I remember I paid some like, I mean, it's one thing. I think Florida wasn't that bad. I want to say saltwater was maybe like $20 for the week. But even then, that's pretty expensive. You know what I mean? But like, I think New York out of state saltwater permit for the year is like 100 something bucks, maybe more or something. Or Stampede is in California. Oh, okay, gotcha. I found a video of Schoolhouse Pool. Basically, it's basically the tailwater lodge's access. Ah, so and that's why it sounds familiar. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think we try and fish there, or we looked at that piece of water. But, I mean, even the people that went to the tailwater weren't even fishing there. They went up to the upper section, or to the lower section. And we fished, because we were hanging out, and we saw dudes fly tying and whatnot. And we were like, oh, yo, what's up? And we were talking, and so me and my buddy, yo, it's okay, we're there. So after the bar, we were hanging out with him. I was like, oh, I'll bring my vise out. And maybe, I was whipping up some little bugs. We traded stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing the fly tying show up here in Albany. And they're like, oh, cool. We were chatting. We're like, oh, we're from Long Island. They're like, oh, yeah. And I was giving them some flies for saltwater and stuff. And they were telling us, essentially, after that, we got like the lowdown. And they were like, you guys come with us. They brought us to the lower section. And we fished around there. And then we went up by the rock wall. And above where that, like, you come down on the rock wall, because if you go up the street, there's like another fishing store. You can go up the street, there's like a church, and on the left there's stairs that you walk down, and it's like this rock stairs cut into the stone or something. Very slick, very dangerous. Like, I almost died going up that because I like threw my back out almost in the cold. Like, yo, it's okay had to like save me, like help me get up those stairs. It was like super dangerous though. But you go down that, and then there's like you can stand on the rock. It's like the rock has been worn away. So there's like I don't know what sort of rock it is, even though I took geology in college, but you can stand on it and you can fish right there. And you're like literally standing right next to where steelhead could be sitting. But if you go past that, the rocks kind of stop, and then you can get down, and it turns into riverbed with like, gravel and stuff and more rocks. You can walk up that, and then there's the chain link fence, and there's like these cedars or something on your right, or these pine trees. And as you go down that, you walk right there. If you walk maybe like, I want to say, from where the river, like from where that rock that you can stand on ends, and you can walk down it, and then you're like on this riverbed. There's rocks behind you. There's like barely anywhere you can like hang a bag on like a tree or something, or lay it on the moss. It's actually a really cool spot. We should go back there, me and my buddies. But if you go somewhere around there, maybe like 15 to 30 feet, continuing towards the chain link fence, somewhere around there, and you just turn and face the river and start dead drifting or high sticking nymphs, and slowly moving around that area. But right around that place, I guarantee you're going to hook something. Because we went there, I had no idea what I was doing. I probably hooked like 30 steelhead or something crazy. Like, I was just like, I didn't even know what would happen. Like, all of a sudden, my line would, like, come tight a little bit, and then I was like, oh, and they would, like, spit it or something. But I remember I fought, like, 4 or 5 fish. My reel froze, like, 3 times, this and that. I, like, lost every fish. I fought one fish for a while. It broke off. It wasn't until the next time we went back that I actually, like, landed one in a net. But that spot, I'm telling you, if I could go there, I'm telling you, though, this was, like, February or something, I want to say, or March. I think it was like February. It was some sort of fly fishing show. But, well, yeah, we refused to fish with indicators. Me and my buddy, Yo, It's Okay. He saw people, he was like, what are those? What are they using bobbers for? He was like, I laughed so hard. That's kind of where the meme, too, originated, where we meme on indicator fishing so hard. Because we have no qualms for it. If you fish with indicators, it's all good. I just don't like it, right? So I was high sticking nymphs, because the fish are literally 10, 15 feet in front of you. You don't need to, like, really get it at that far out. You know what I mean? The fish are hanging out in certain spots. So I was, like, high sticking. And you would just feel the line come tight. You would slowly raise it. And you'd be like, oh. And a lot of times I thought it was stuck. But it must have been right in the corner of a steelhead's mouth, because then I would fight it for, like, 3 or 4 minutes, and it would spit the fly and, I'll try and mark the spot on like Google Maps and send it to you, Craigorroll. All right, the exact spot. Because every time we've caught fish, it was December or March or February. It was right in that spot. They were right there. Nowhere else did I have any luck So I was like, screw it. I'm going to that spot every time. I'll send it to you. Damn, I feel like my voice is like going out almost. Hey, Joe V, what's going on? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. We're just chit-chatting about some steelhead stuff. End of February? Yeah, I think I was up there in some point in February. All I remember, it was some of the coldest fishing I've ever done. And I've like razor clammed and like the ice cold standing, but up there the cold is something different. I'm not used to it. Definitely not used to it. So I wouldn't mind going there when it's not like 5 degrees, you know? But it's like every time we've gone up there too, there was like a massive snowstorm when we got there. We stayed at the Tailwater Lodge, and then the roads were like drivable by the time we left. And then it would be like a snowstorm hit. Like we always got super lucky, so I didn't have to drive in like a freaking blizzard. I think a couple times we did though, because I always drove up and my buddies hopped in my Suburban or whatever. Excuse me. They made a fish ladder at Derby Dam so the cutthroat from Pyramid can spawn again in their native Truckee River. It runs all the way up to Lake Tahoe. Goes through the heart of Reno. Very cool. Yeah, we have a lot of fish ladders that they've installed over the years over here. In culverts on Long Island for either herring or trout as well to go out and eat a brook trout. So there's a couple spots where they actually have fish ladders, and there's a lot of spots where they just have basic culverts for herring to essentially do like a salmon type migration up into freshwater lakes. It's pretty cool. Signs everywhere saying that using nets in freshwater is like a freaking $10,000 fine or something as well. Because people will try and go there and catch herring and stuff like that, but they're like a protected species up here now, so they're trying to restore herring spawning and stuff like that, which is overall a fantastic thing. I've been seeing a lot of juvenile herring in the spring, so it sounds like it's working. It's really cool. You can actually go to certain spots certain times of year and see the herring almost like salmon, like running up this tiny little creek, inches of water, their backs sticking out of the water, you know. And the town like specifically let all the overgrowth grow out so that way the birds don't, you know, wreak havoc on them. Because you could have a couple like heron and stuff like that, like just clean them out. But 10 degrees and every retrieve you have to dump. Oh, that was the worst. I lost all of my steelhead the first time I went up there. It was so cold because my reel froze every single 2 minutes. My reel was completely frozen. It was a cheap cast TFO reel. So next time I went back there, I went with a better reel. And your guides were freezing all the time too, which is like, I'm not used to that, you know? So it was definitely hard. I lost a lot of fish because of it. I have a video on YouTube of me losing every fish, I think. And it was because my reel froze like almost every single time. So after that, when I remember, I would like literally, while I was sitting there in between every cast, I would move my reel back and forth multiple times to stop it from freezing. But if you go with like a high enough quality reel, it lessens the chance just from how the machining and everything is compared to like a cheapo reel. But it still happens, so you got to be mindful of it. I wonder if you could put like wax or something, or you could do. There's like some sort of trick you could put Vaseline or something, you know. Probably like some old timer trick to that. They're like, well, you just keep it wet all the time. And I'll never forget one encounter I had with some older dude from the city or something that was there. And he was like, you got to try the crystal meth. I'll never forget. He was talking about these little nymphs, or these little, not even nymphs, but like little wet flies or something. It's called the crystal meth, and he was swearing by it. And it was essentially just a nymph with like a small astaz, like a crystal astaz on it. But I'll never forget, he's like, you gotta really try this crystal meth, and that's like how he said it to me, and I just was like trying not to die laughing because he was like some older gentleman, you know. and he was kind of already kind of mad that we showed up and he was there first, but we gave him a good amount of space. But you know how it is, right? The rickety old man. And he was like, kind of grumpy looking at us because we were like even on the same section of the river. But I slowly talked to him and whatnot. And he's like, you got to really try these crystal meth. And I was like, trying not to die laughing. It sounded like if you heard, like a policeman heard that from like up on the road from above, it would have sounded like this guy was offering me crystal meth or something. But I remember he gave me a couple flies and I tried them out. Every time I caught stuff, it was like on woolly buggers, like egg-sucking leeches, or like I just would come up. I remember we did a stream where I made a bunch of steelhead flies, and it was just random buggy looking stuff. I fish a lot of purples when I fish steelhead. Purples, oranges, pinks, stuff like that, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, those streams are long gone because, and that's why I'm happy I stream on YouTube as well, because these will actually be saved, I think. But all those old Twitch streams, they get deleted after a certain amount of time. But there was one stream where we were prepping for that Salmon River trip and that fly fishing show, and I tied like a crazy amount of nymphs. We were just tying nymphs left and right for steelhead, for high sticking. Usually the only stuff I save is like any good fishing streams, you know, for future. But get this resin set up again, kind of, getting the kind of like arrowhead triangle shape going on where we extend far enough back so that this material doesn't foul on us. It's kind of the whole idea. Yeah, even this one, so you can see the goat hair doesn't hold as good. This is like, it's definitely super subtle. I almost kind of want to have it sit a little different, but it's going to end up with a nice herring profile anyway. With the craft fur, you can manipulate it a little different. I wouldn't mind having it kind of like this, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to let it do its thing. It's good to work with the material, not against it. We're going to end up with a nice herring profile anyway, which is the colors we're going for. That's how you fish the truckee. I enjoyed it. I will say I enjoy swinging flies a lot more. I haven't caught a steelhead swinging a fly. That's what I want to do. Nymphing was cool for about, or high sticking. Or just in general was cool for the first hour or two, and then it became almost the definition of hell, I would say, to just roll cast over and over and over and over and over and over. The only thing that kept me going was the steelhead, but that's definitely not my favorite sort of fishing, I'll say. I don't trout fish in general, and when I do, I usually swing flies, like little Mickey fins and stuff. Yeah, you end up, my back was just killing me because I was just like doing the roll casting over and over again. But I like swinging flies. I like fishing with spay rods and stuff. That was a lot of fun. It's not easy though. It's a lot easier to just put a nymph over and over in a spot where fish are, and you'll eventually get one to just bite it, even though they're being lethargic and like, barely eating or something. To get one to swing aggressively on a fly is much harder, you know what I mean? Especially during that time of the year we were going. But that's like kind of the way, I'm like thinking of steelhead, and I'm like, swinging like a nice tube fly, and next thing you know, the line comes tight. And so next time we go up there, I'm just going to, because the thing is you can't spay fish on some of these rivers, because they're so heavily crammed with people. Like on a Sunday in the fly fishing section, there was so many people there that, you kind of had to, if you didn't go early enough, you kind of got the crap spots, you know what I mean? That sort of deal. And then everyone's just nymphing, not really casting that far, right? So you can't really swing flies when everyone's doing that, unless you like assert yourself like a an a-hole, and you're like, all right, cool, I'm showing up, and you just start spay, and you're swinging over, and people probably start wanting to fight you. So that's where we went to do that. We went out of the fly fishing section and down river. We drove for a while and found some holes and tried it. There were some guys doing the pin line fishing or whatever, where they end up doing like 100-yard drifts or something, perfectly like level the whole time, and catching fish. And we were trying to, spay fish, so we had to go, out of their way because they were doing like 100-something yard drifts or something crazy. And we tried. We didn't get any luck. It was a lot of fun though. I have some cool footage, some like cool slow-mo footage of us spay casting, like me almost hitting Jeff with a spay fly in the face or something as he's filming me. But yeah, I would like to go back and try spay fishing for sure. Probably go to some different areas, maybe even right by the tailwater there, and go out that way. It's probably not that far from the bar, so. Get out of the heavily trafficked areas. All right, I'm gonna go with some thin resin here. I did 2 coats of medium, just kind of slowly built it up. We'll just do a final thin coat here to fill in the nooks and crannies. You ever try spay on salt? Oh yeah. I don't do it that often, personally, but I like switch rods for salt. Even then, I'm more of a single hand, fast action, double hauling. That's what works best for me. But sometimes I've fished a spay rod in the surf, not necessarily spay fishing in the surf, but using that length and kind of fishing it like a 2-hand rod, like a switch rod. You know what I mean? But I haven't spay casted in saltwater. I have used spay rods. I have a 14-something Sage my buddy had custom built. Beautiful rod. I also don't fish it in salt a lot because I don't want it to get destroyed over time, but I have a Cabela's 11 and a half I use as like a switch rod, like 2-handed or single-handed casting sort of deal. And the reason why I like that, it's not even necessarily better casting for me, because I find you got to get the perfect line set up for a switch rod or a spay rod, right? At least for me, to have them cast very good. And when you find it, it's perfect. But I struggle sometimes because I'm not the best spay or switch caster. But I use it in a lot of times where the beach access is terrible or the dunes are so tall that you can't really backcast, but you can pick up, 30, 40 foot of running line, the head off the water, and do a quick 1-2 with the switch rod and shoot it out, especially when the wind's at my back. If the wind's not at my back, I struggle with switch casting a lot of times. So I'm not the best at it. I'm definitely, if it's blowing 30 miles an hour in my face and I have a 10 weight, I can still get it out 50 foot with a double haul, you know what I mean? Backhand casting with a heavy line. With switch rods, when the wind changes and it's not in my favor, it just falls flat for me. But so it's definitely on me. I need to, get better at it. But when the wind's at my back and I got a switch rod and floating lines and giant popper, I cast that thing 120 feet. That's great. I love it. But I like light rods, fast action, heavy lines, and I do 1 or 2 false casts. That's generally what I do because I have pretty bad back. So really heavy rods and a lot of false casting just, screws my back up faster. So back in the day, I used to be able to fish for 6-7 hours and stuff. Nowadays, I usually fish for maybe 2 or 3 hours in my waders, and I'm and if I fish 5 or 6 hours, it's when I get home, I'm oh god, I gotta use arnica gel and stuff because my back's almost thrown out. So having comfortable waders and having a nice rod set up to where I don't have to false cast a lot, but I could still whale it out there. So I usually use a 9 weight, 10 weight, 9 foot, fast action, and I use almost a line above. So if I'm using a 9 weight, I'll go either 9 weight line or 10 weight line, and an intermediate or something, like a Rio with a nice fast head on it, and I'll just pick it up with about 15, 20 foot line out of the water, maybe even less, so roll it out, and then I'll just pick it up, do 1 false cast, or maybe, 1, bring it forward for a forward cast, and then I'll just double haul it on the second and just shoot it out there. So it definitely makes a difference. If I don't have a good rod setup, my back gets so messed up. So what do you call it? Which it's just because I have innately very bad back problems, but it's due to how my spine's curved and this and that, and like God knows what, probably some sciatica or like nerve thing, I don't know. But so that's something I'm always mindful of, because it was just the past couple of years, but like last year I fished a lot, I definitely felt it a lot, you know what I mean? So having like a good rod setup, and not only that, but comfortable waders. Like I bought some crappy waders near the end of the season. Oh my God, it was like torture fishing in these plastic waders on the beach, especially because I'm walking like a mile, maybe a mile and a half some days, because I'm like fishing one way and then I fish my way back through the troughs. And having like nice waders that are light and comfortable with like good foot insulation, and then having like a nice rod setup is really imperative nowadays. So I'm going to have to get another pair. I just bought some cheap plastic ones. They're good to have, especially if somebody comes, like a buddy comes out from Colorado or something. My one friend, he can come fishing. So, Brundle Flies 92. Love your videos. Thank you. Well, thank you for that, Brundle. Appreciate that. I'm glad you could join us. I have to do some new fly tying videos. I've been saying it, but I have a whole list of, God, I don't know how many, but we have like 30, 40 different patterns here we've written down that I have to record, but and I haven't really been working much because we haven't been clamming that much because of the weather, so I probably should just bite down and start recording, but what do you call it? I'll hopefully get something going here soon so we can get some more videos going. I appreciate everybody that watches the videos on YouTube. So I think we're almost at 3,500 is it? Oh, no, 2,000. We're almost at 3,000 subs, I think. We're like a couple hundred subscribers away, so I appreciate it. I can't get the cast down with a switch rod? It's tough, man. It's the sort of thing where I would almost go to like a casting instruction. If there was somebody that knows what they're doing, I would go watch them in person. And it's the sort of thing where you need to go in person. You can't watch a video and see somebody do a spade. Like, I guess you could. And I've like tried it, but it's really the sort of thing if somebody like in person can be like, if you just move your wrist slightly out this way on this cast, or something, it might be worth it. In particular, you find like the Mark Sadati of, what do you call it? Of spay casting or something, especially the squimpish flies. Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I do need to do another squimpish video. Because I'm part of the Squimpish Pro team. Not that that means much, other than I'm just friends with the owners. And that's one of my highest watched videos, next to the synthetic surf candy, which is like 18,000 views. I think the Squimpish hollow flies at like 14, 15,000 views. And it's like, if you look at the analytics, it's just like a steady climb. So those two videos are like the highest, the best producing views on my channel or something. But so I'm glad people like it. So I've done squimpish hollows. I could do some more squimpish hollows, but I can also maybe do like a squimpish dubbing brush, even though that requires you to have like an actual dubbing brush table. So especially your squimpish flies. Well, good. I'm glad you can use LI Flies Mike 15, I think it is, for 15% off from their website. Not that I ever whore that out, but if you are looking for a little discount. I don't get money from them or anything, but they're just an awesome company, and the owners are amazing. So you love the squimpish for large bunker flies? Yeah. Well, the whole reason I like it in particular, which I have some here, I'll show you, is that it's like it's a fairly decent bucktail alternative. It's not synthetic bucktail, right? It's not trying to be bucktail, but if you can't get bucktail that's long enough to tie your hollow flies or tie your, certain flies like slammers and stuff, it's a great alternative to something like slinky fiber or something vice versa, right? Which I got my giant bag of just a bunch of different colors here. But it's great for that. I find with the hollow ties, it helps to use a little super glue or something to actually keep it stiff when you fold it back, which I didn't realize I had so much of this black like flashy material. I should do some darker colors. Hey, Bujika, thank you for the 55 months. Give it up. Round of applause on Twitch. But thank you. I'm glad to hear that, Brundle. I'll, you know what? Maybe that'll push a Squimpish fly up to the list next. I'll have to think about what I'm going to tie, though. I mean, I could easily just tie a fly with Squimpish hair, right? Like any sort of fly. But I really like it for the hollows, for the larger flies. That's kind of my favorite thing. David Nelson, the owner, does an amazing job tying in. Because, you know, Squimpish is a style of fly tying. That's essentially a style he created that melded traditional salmon and steelhead fly tying along with striped bass flies, very much so akin to Bob Popovic's, but also like Kenny Abrams sort of stuff. So shout out to David Nelson. It wasn't a brand or a material. It was like almost like a way. It was like a style of fly tying with Squimpish. It's in, I forgot what the book's called. I have it. Striped bass flies. I'll show you. This was like the first time I heard of Squimpish was right here and on the Striper Online community. Let me see here. Squimpish flies. Where are we at? I wonder how much this book is. This book's probably like hundreds of dollars now. Because every book I recommend from you guys are like, people post on YouTube, they're like, this book's like $300. I'm like, I don't know. I bought it in the 90s. It's probably like out of print. David Nelson, New York's David Nelson. But you can see his original Squimpish style, right? And this was before Squimpish hair. So he still does this, but he takes rhea, hackle, or ostrich. And what he does is, which by the way, shout out to David Nelson, the man. He's also got a restaurant. I forgot the name of it, but he takes rhea hackle, he splits it from the quill so it's wrappable, and he wraps it steelhead style, palmers it on the fly, and that's where you're getting this length. It's not just feathers, but it's rhea hackle, it's ostrich herl, and bucktail, long bucktail, stuff like that, right? Very much so Popovic style, but also in the style of like steelhead, you know? You see certain people that do a lot of this sort of stuff. And you can see this style too. This is all the rhea hackle, right? This is very much so like a general practitioner, which is a famous salmon fly from Scotland, right? I believe it's Scottish. More like squid stuff. These are tubes as well, because he fishes a lot for brown trout. Shout out. You could check him out. Check out Squimpish Flies. I'm sure you could find his account as well on Instagram, but he catches like massive brown trout up in like Connecticut and places on these Squimpish flies. But so shout out. This is where I first found out. This book's called Striped Bass Flies, Patterns of the Pros, Clausmeyer. It's a fantastic book. So shout out to David Nelson. We will do another Squimpish video. Should do a nice minnow imitation and like an olive. Yeah, well, I mean, you could do this fly right here. You could do a Squimpish style. Yeah, maybe we'll do something like that. I don't know. We'll figure. I'll have to think about what pattern I'll do, but maybe I'll try and get this up recently. Did you ever hear Crack a Noon Charter? Yeah. Maybe it'll come to fruition one day, but if somebody, I swear, nobody will ever take that, right? Because who will ever in their right mind call their charter Crack a Noon Charters? And that's a joke from back in the day with Jack Black and Tenacious D. He's like, we work hard. We wake up in the crack of noon every day, practice our rock, right? Or something like that. So I'm pretty certain I'll have that name in the bag if I ever get my captain's license. Until then, though, I might just put Crack a Noon Charters on the back of my boat. Just for fun, even though I don't even have a charter license or anything. It's just Crack a Noon Charters. It says like on the side or something. It has like the giant emote on my face. The that dumb emote. Yeah, I heard of it. All right, we're gonna do our marble race here. I hope you folks enjoyed a couple of high ties, some chit chat. Squimpish flies will be the next one on the what do you call it? will be the next one on the channel, all right? For you, Brundle. All right. Let's see here. Boop, boop. What do we got? This is the subscriber race. The first subscriber to land in the pit is going to win some flies. And what do we got? I think we just got Bujika AR and Cragger Roll. So if you're a sub, a tier 1, 2, 3, or a Twitch primer up on Twitch, !play. We give flies at the last Friday of the month every month away. So we have our follower, which was Supra. Shout out to Supra. Going to be getting some flies. And we'll see what subscribers going to be winning some flies here. Get ready to the others, and it will just be me. True. Yo, Rev. Appreciate it. Shout out to Rev for the 8 months with the with the membership on YouTube. Let's go. I got the Ross emotes. I added a couple emotes on YouTube. I know you asked for it. It's creepy, isn't it? Bask in the glory. I added the emotes. They're there. Just 1 or 2. I got to add more. But I specifically, I was like, oh, crap, I got to do that. But thank you, Rev. Appreciate it. I got another Chaos Rhino printed up. And I'm printing stuff for the upcoming Emperor's Children release. So I'm printing my Palatine blades to be the new blade guys. I'm going to wait, but I put Lucius on a larger base. He was on 25. It was stupid. But eventually I got to put all my Noise Marines on 40 mil bases. And I'm printing like the new, I found like, suitable proxies for the new battle line units. I don't know everything, but I'm being cautious because they might like get rid of half of the units. Like they're speculating there might not be Predator tanks, there might not be Obliterators, because they were looking at the photo. They're like, is whatever's in the photo going to be it? Sort of deal. There's a lot of speculation, so I'm being careful. Same thing happened with Blood Angels. Anyways, tomorrow we shall battle. But thank you for the resub. So we got Craggerol, Bujika, and AR. I know we got some more Twitch subs. We got it. There's got to be. If not, !play. You can always join. Maybe you can knock Bujika's marble off the track. You know what I mean? Let me get some marble music here. We will be streaming at some point next week. I'm going to try and at least do 1 fly tying stream a week. Get back in the groove of things. Last week we kind of hopped back on. So I don't know if it'll be Friday or what, but we'll be streaming something. And more than likely, I'll try and get a video out between then. So we'll do something Squimpish related. I don't know if we'll do a hollow fly or maybe we'll do like a bucktail deceiver style fly, or who knows. We could do a Sadati slammer. I've tied slammers with them, So the other thing I was thinking is like a lot of my flies I've done on the channel are like different patterns. I might just do different versions of patterns with different materials. Like, not every fly has to be like, well, today we're doing a completely different fly, because it needs to be completely different so you can learn. I'm thinking sometimes I could just tie flies and post them like, hey, this was a really cool hollow fly that came out, so I'm going to show you how to tie this school bus hollow fly. Or just kind of, so not only it's a way for people to learn how to do it, but also for people to just see, oh, he did this differently here, or that's nice, and maybe just to view it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times I'm like, man, I'm running out here unless I start dipping into flies from like the 1970s. Because I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of the flies nowadays are just slight tweaks of other flies that have slowly been changed over the years. And it can all come back to a muddler minnow and a woolly, whatever, right? A Gibbs striper streamer or something, right? They're all slight variations and different stuff. Certain things are, quite different or maybe vastly, but a lot of it is similar, right? So like you could just say, oh, well, today I tied the Nipple Twister 5000, and it's like the same exact fly we just tied, but instead of craft fur, I use bucktail, and then I put a little peacock curl on top. Same exact fly, different material, you just call it something else. You know what I mean? So for a while I was hung up like, I gotta, do different flies, but I don't know, I don't want to just put flies up there just for the sake of it. So I'm like, maybe I'll tie some flies where it's like I'm tying another hollow fly, but I'm doing it in a certain particular style, and I'm just filming it and it's just a sick looking fly. You know what I mean? So Even though maybe I've shown how to tie a squimpish hollow before, you know, maybe I'm doing it this time adding ostrich hurl and bucktail. So, because for a while I was very dead set on well, it's got to be a different fly because I've already done surf candies, right? Meanwhile, some of the two most successful videos on my channel are bucktail surf candy, synthetic surf candy. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I'm curious on your folks' thought. You know what I mean? I'm sure most of you wouldn't care as long as it's some sort of interesting fly tying content on the channel because I barely post anything. So, all right. If you have an exclamation mark play, it looks like this is going to be small race, Bujika. Your chances are up there. We got AR, Craggerroll, and you, Bujika. That's the 3 subscribers eligible to win. So I'm going to give this a second here, but I think we're about to start up. And somebody's going to be winning some flies here. So if you have an exclamation mark play, I'll give you about 15, 20 seconds here before the beat drops. And then we're going to start it up. But I appreciate everybody hanging out and watching. We're going to be streaming next week at some point, doing some more fly tying. I'm the guy with the most losses ever? No. There's definitely somebody else. I feel like AR has been watching for a really long time now. He's only won like once or twice. He might genuinely have more losses than you. There's some folks that have been watching for like 6, 7 years because we've been doing this for a while now. I feel like there's got to be somebody with more losses. So don't feel too bad. In 55 months, I have won 2. True. Okay. And that is pretty bad. There's probably somebody here, though, that maybe has never won. But now that you say it, let's see if we can change things, huh? Is the beat drop going to match? Let's see. No, I think it might be a little early. Cozy's in there. Hop in there, Cozy. Oh, I was pretty close. I was a couple seconds off from the beat drop. And they're off. Let me get some reverb. It's been a while. And they're off. AR Fly Fisher making his way down the tubes. I don't like this. Let me try this one. And they're off. What the hell's going on, guys? Bujika's like, here, brother, I'm gonna win this one. Meanwhile, Cozy and Super were gaining up with baseball bats, beating the crap out of them. AR Fly Fisher, looking good, smelling good, but can he make it? Is this the same map? Honestly, I think it's the same map. It's all gonna come down to the spatula section. AR in the lead. Let's see if he can relive himself. This is just like a repeat of last time. As long as he survives, it looks like it might be his race. And it looks like the bad luck streak might continue for Bujika. But it all comes down to the spatulas. The spatulas of death! Let me try that again. Hold on. The spatulas of death! Oh. There we go. Wrong mixer knob. The spatulas of death! But he surpassed the spatulas! He's now in the paddle section, but this could give someone time. If he gets hung up in the paddles, this could be it. I'm sorry, Bujika. I was trying to keep your hopes up. But who am I trying to deny AR the victory? Hit the hole, AR. Oh, he hit the hole. He hit a hole-in-one. Congratulations. You don't earn a marble badge like that. I'm pretty sure they only give this to, like, people who have entered, like, 8 million marble races or something. Anyways. Craggerroll up next. Bujika. Not bad, guys. I will say I missed out what happened at the start. I don't want to call foul play, but there might have been, like, a fist fight or something at the start. But congratulations to AR. Now, hey, Bujika, you have one, though, at least. You keep down spot. But you can't deny it. I mean, AR is just a legend, you know? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know what I mean? when the guy's got a universal marble badge given to him by the Council of Marble Racing, what are you gonna do? He's just that good. I also didn't pick a second map, so that would have made it. I forgot to pick a second map, so we played the same map twice. But that's all right. Congratulations, AR. I'll have to let him know. He's probably like putting his kids to bed or something. It was watching a KC Chiefs play. Okay. I don't know much about football. I know that's a Kansas City football team, right? I'm assuming, what are they? Did they just, you give him the ball and he just runs or something? All right. Well, congratulations, AR. Let me write that down. Super and AR. We have Wolf and Jin from last month. I'm going to ship those out this next week coming up. And get them out of here. We'll send you guys some flies in the mail. Oh, it's rigged for KC. Okay. Exclamation mark rigged. Oh, Craggerall already got it. Or exclamation mark refund. You can type in the chat as well. That'll give you the number to customer service. Who the hell won again? Oh, yeah, AR. All right. Thank you so much for watching, chat. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Yeah, type refund. That'll give you the number for the refund. For your Twitch sub. There you go. Yep. 1-800-KISS MY ASS. These are dumb, like little Nightbot things that we came up with like 5-6 years ago. I think some of my mods did or something like that. I had to delete some of them though because they were falsely accusatory about me sniffing ponytails and stuff, and I couldn't stand for it. Okay, they were funny memes, but there were some conspirators that were watching that would play that every once in a while when people came in, so I had to get rid of it. No more microvert. But thank you so much for watching, chat. I appreciate it. I hope you folks have an awesome weekend. We're going to be tying again next week. Hopefully between then I have some sort of YouTube fly time video out. So I'll try and do something Squimpish related too. So thank you so much for watching. Adios. I'll look for the map spot. Yeah, I'll remind me if I forget. But I'll send you a little pin, boop, of where the sweet spot. I don't know exactly where, but if you go to that area and you dig around over there, you'll find some fish more than likely. So, but thank you so much, chat. Appreciate it. Hope you folks have an awesome night. Everybody on YouTube, thank you so much for hanging out, whether you were chatting or lurking. Shout out to Rev on Twitch. Thank you so much. Bujika with the 9 months. Brew with the 61. AR with the 43. Craggerol with the 33. Again, Rev with the 8 on YouTube. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys next week. And until then, hop in the Discord if you haven't. And we'll see you sometime soon, all right? Yeah, post some pictures of Pyramid. We'll take a look. So, alrighty. We'll see you guys. Have an awesome night. I'll see you next week, all right?